Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Rob's Little Bit of Buck. Hi, Rebecca. So tonight, no cocktail tonight. We're gonna do doubles, which is a Trinidadian street food dish. Hey, Paul. One of my favorites, and kind of one that's a little close to my heart. This one, I haven't made this in a long time. Partly because Serena doesn't like chickpeas at all. But the reason I started making this dish. Probably 17 or 18 years ago because the person who looked after our kids when they were really little was from Trinidad, and she was really, really young. She was like 18 or 19 when she first started with us and had just arrived in Canada. And anyway, she was lonely, and she missed Trinidad, and she missed the food, and she missed all of it. And this was her favorite. This was her favorite dish. So I figured out how to make it, which is easier today than it was 20 years ago. It didn't have the same number of resources, but it's been something I make on and off over the years, and it's one of my favorites. I really like it. It's really simple to make. It's vegetarian. In fact, I think it's even vegan. So if that's important to you, this is a great thing to make. So we're gonna split tonight up into a doubles. If you don't know what a doubles is, it's a chana, which is a chickpea stew. So this is a West Indian version of a East Indian dish, and it is simply like a chickpea stew, spicy chickpea stew, between two pieces of special bread called bara, which is a deep fried, well, it's not deep fried, it's a fried dough bread, top and bottom. You can either fold it up like a taco, or I like to do it like top and bottom. Add a little bit of hot sauce if that's your thing, and it's just a quick snack. And it's normally eaten in the morning, but also sometimes late at night after people get out on nightclubs and stuff like that. So anyway, that's the story behind it. It's relatively straightforward, and we're going to kind of just jump into it, I think. I'm trying to figure out the order tonight. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to make the chana first. Oh no, we're going to make, okay, so yeah. We're going to make curry powder. So one of the ingredients in the chana is curry powder. And Jamaican curry powder or Caribbean curry powder is different than Indian curry powder. And I've had this for a long time, and it's probably not even good anymore. The problem with, especially with the curry powder, so curry powder, of course, is a blend of spices. And God, who knows when these spices were ground. And I've had this for ages. I actually don't use this anymore. So it's worth learning how to make your own curry powders from scratch. Or any spice blend, whether you're making garam masala or a curry powder or whatever. It's worth doing from scratch. It tastes a lot better. It doesn't take very long at all. So we're going to do that first tonight, then we're going to do the chana. So let's just jump right into the curry powder, and we're going to mix it up in a bowl like this one, I guess. Still a little bit wet. And I'm just gonna go through it. So you can. This is the spice blend I jotted down out of my notes because up until recently it was actually hard to find well, I couldn't find it, a Caribbean curry powder, and so I made it. Again, it's not difficult to make, and it turns out it's better. So this is just from my notes from way back in the day, and I'm just gonna read it off here. So we want 2.5, and if you guys all know me, if you want this recipe, I will I'll write it up and send it to you. So you got 2.5 tablespoons of turmeric. And some of the spices are ground. Now, I think I'm going to toast them. This is kind of an optional step, but we're here. We're trying to do things right, and it is worth toasting your spices for just like 3 minutes or something. So in this particular one, we want a tablespoon of coriander seeds. A tablespoon of cumin seeds, which I have somewhere. Where's my cumin? How's everybody's week going? Let's do this. This is cute. Okay. And again, you're just, I could have prepped all this before, but I kind of like doing this on stream. You get, so if you have whole allspice, by all means use that. I don't have any whole allspice, so I'm going to use ground in a second. These are yellow mustard seeds. I'm going to go with like 2 tablespoons of those. And and of course, I think I said this on a past stream. Somebody remind me never to buy more fenugreek seeds. But I forgot that I had them. And I bought more. Now I have like an endless supply of fenugreek seeds. You want 2 tablespoons of these guys. And we want like, where's my peppercorns? We want about 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. So that's going to be about that many peppercorns. 1 clove to have here. Ow, hot. And by the way, you can substitute ground for any of these spices. But honestly, if you're going to go to the trouble of making your own spice mixture, then you might as well use some whole spices where you can. Okay, so for the dried spices that we don't have in yet, so I would normally use 2 tablespoons of allspice berries. So allspice, by the way, if you guys don't know what allspice is, it's not what it sounds like. This isn't all spices. That would take all the challenge out of it. If you just had like a jar of every spice that you could put in everything, it'd be kind of interesting, but take all the challenge out of it. So 2 tablespoons of berries is about 1/4 teaspoon of ground. So I'm just gonna, and this is very strong, so a little goes a long, oh, not there. A little goes a long way. I want 2 tablespoons of ground ginger, which is here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to drop the dry spices right into the pan. I mean, that wouldn't be the end of the world if I did that, but let's try not to. It smells amazing in here. You guys can smell it. And you can tell when spices have toasted enough, they just kind of go off. Like you can see the smoke and the whole, you'll smell it in the whole room. This isn't traditional in a curry powder, but I actually like a little nutmeg in mine. And this just nutmeg, if you guys haven't used it before, you just grind it over a microplane. And again, nutmeg is very strong. So don't go crazy with it. I like the flavor of this. This is one of them acquired tastes. Not everybody likes the flavor. If you don't want to do it, leave it out. And then the only other thing that which I'm not going to put in, you could also add salt at this point. But I don't, because I like to control the amount of salt in my dish. And so should you, in other ways, like this little salt goes a long way, so this is going to be interesting to see if this actually works. So this is a little more than I normally have in my mortar and pestle, so we'll see if we can grind this up. Oh, if you guys can hear them popping from the heat. You could also do this, you don't have to do this in a mortar and pestle, you could do this if you have a dedicated spice grinder. You can do it in a coffee grinder if you never want to grind coffee in it again, because it will permanently flavor your coffee grinder. This is kind of working. I have too much in here, so I don't recommend you put this much in, but I'm also kind of making it work, so we'll just see how it goes. It smells incredible. Yeah, we're getting there. Okay, so this is going to work. Any questions on making like a curry powder or a spice blend? I'm really pushing the limits of this thing. Okay, you know what? I'm going to admit that I have too much in here, and let's just do this a little bit at a time. There we go. Much better. Okay, hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. It's one batch. Let's just finish this up really quick. See what kind of rumble we get out of my new mic. There we go. Perfect. And if it seems like I'm moving a little slow tonight, it's because I got the COVID booster on the weekend. And honestly, guys, it is kicking my ass. So, I'm moving a little slow tonight. You guys will just have to bear with me. Give this a little mix. And there we go. And it smells absolutely amazing. And it's got like, turmeric, of course, gives it that beautiful yellow color that you can see there. Okay. Instant curry powder. And you know, that's about as much as you should make at any given time because, as I said, spices go stale after a little while. So, you know. Now, I didn't make this super hot. If you want, you can add cayenne pepper to that to give a little kick if you like your curry powder with a little kick. But again, you know, like with the salt, I like to control the heat towards the end. And I'm just going to leave it out. But by all means, if you know, if you know how you like your dishes spiced, you could obviously just throw the cayenne straight in. So, okay. Any questions on making a curry powder? I feel like that was pretty straightforward. All right, on with the show. I don't need this right now. I actually feel like I might be going too fast tonight. It's always hard to pace yourself. Okay, so let's get our chana going. The chana has to simmer for about 20 minutes, so we're gonna get that going, and then we are going to do the bread. Go from there. Anyway, this recipe is scaled for 2 cans of chickpeas. These are like 14.5-ounce cans of chickpeas. I've got 2 in them. You want to drain them. So you can adjust your ingredients depending on how much you want. But 2 cans of chickpeas means 1 onion. And you just want to dice this guy up. Doesn't have to be a super fine dice, but not too chunky either. That's about enough. Okay, so I'm going to put this straight into a pot, save a few dishes. Get that on the heat. Oh, of course you guys can't see. Don't think I need this right now. There we go. There we go. Just a little bit of oil, get things going. Use whatever neutral oil suits your fancy. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in a second once my onions are going a little more. And the chan is really easy. You just kind of throw all of the ingredients in as you go. So I can start actually even adding the spices. So as the onions are starting to reduce, because it's okay if the spices go into the oil, which is kind of like a tarka. I guess if this was an Indian dish, we would be actually cooking the spices in the oil. Get the garlic in now. Sure, why not? Okay, where did my allspice go? So again, this calls for a teaspoon of ground allspice. I'm going to cut this back a little bit. So allspice is really strong. A little bit of garlic. We do want, again, nutmeg is kind of optional here. But I'm going to use a little bit anyway. High, that going, and we want some smoked paprika, maybe a teaspoon and a half of this, a heaping teaspoon, that much. And I had some thyme I wanted to use too. And for thyme, obviously, you can just like just zip the leaves off straight into the thing. You don't need to go crazy with it, but also pay attention to what you're doing. Maybe one more. Feel that's good for thyme. Okay, a little cumin. Again, you guys all know me. If you want my exact recipe for this, let me know. I'll give it to you. But chana recipes are pretty straightforward. We want a teaspoon of white pepper. Now I have some white pepper that I ground just before for something else. So that goes in. Now I'm just going to soften the onions and sort of toast the spices a little more before we put the chickpeas in. At this point, if your spices or anything are starting to burn, or the onions starting to burn, you can add a little liquid or broth. I don't really need to here, but I have had in the past. And again, we just want to cook the spices in a little bit of oil here. Just sit for just a sec. By the way, if you're out there watching and you haven't figured out I know there's people who watch who don't actually log into YouTube and don't chat, which is totally fine. There's no obligation to chat, but it is sometimes nice to be able to ask a question here and there. So I encourage you to make peace with the password gods and figure out how to do that. Okay, now I am going to add just a little bit of broth here. I'm just picking up the spices off the bottom of the pan here. Doing a little deglazing. A little more. Actually, I'll leave this open because we need it anyway. Okay. Feel like don't want my thyme stem in there, but I think these are ready to go. So, and on to the next step. So the next part's really easy. Take your chickpeas, in they go. The rest of the broth. Now we can crank the heat, get this guy back to a boil, and then it's going to simmer on the stove while we do the bread. Now, I'm using canned chickpeas here, and honestly, I don't think there's any reason not to. You could, of course, use dried chickpeas and rehydrate them and do the whole thing. I don't really think there's an advantage to doing that, but I mean, if you got them in the house and you need to use them up, you can. Wouldn't be my first choice. Okay, so now while that comes to a boil, the other things that are going to go into this are some green onions. We're going to chop up right now. Let's take too long. Let's do this faster. And you can use the whole thing. Whites, greens, white parts. Just throw it all in there. So near the end we'll finish it with a little bit of parsley. But that can go in. And I'm going to put it for a little bit of heat. I've got this is a Scotch bonnet. You could use a habanero here too, but yeah, either one's fine. I think they're very very similar. I don't honestly know what the difference is. They have very similar heat levels. They taste the same. I'm sure there is some difference. I just don't know what it is. Boiling nicely. And this isn't, one habanero is not going to make it like, for 2 cans of chickpeas, it's not going to make it crazy spicy. But as I said, make it your own, adjust the spice levels to what you need them to be, or what you want them to be. Okay, well you guys can't see, but this has now come to a boil. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of stir, and then this is going to go on the stove to, it just doesn't look right. You know what we didn't put in? Was the curry powder. I was like, this does not look the right color. Rebecca, yes, this makes, this is for 2 cans of chickpeas. So, I don't know, that's a lot. You can scale it. The reason I use 2 cans of chickpeas is because, give me 2 seconds. The reason I use 2 cans of chickpeas is because it scales perfectly with 1 onion, but it's totally up to you. You could easily cut this into by half. This tends to go fast, so I always, and it also reheats beautifully. This is the kind of thing you can just throw in the fridge and heat up for a quick snack. So, okay, can't believe we almost forgot the curry powder. Make that wonderful curry powder and then don't use it. Okay, so that's gonna simmer. Let's get on with the show. I don't think we need you again, so excuse me, guys. Hey, Robin. Yeah, as I said, I don't know if you just tuned in. I haven't made this in a long time. It's one of my favorites. I used to make it for the person who used to look after my kids when they were younger. She was from Trinidad and was lonely and always homesick for the food. So this is what we're doing tonight. Okay, so now we got to get on to the Barra. I'm trying to think of a bare necessities joke, but it's just not coming to me. So I'm not going to show you guys how to make the dough. because I had to make it earlier because it's got to rise. So this is a yeasted dough. If you're in a rush, you could do this with baking powder, but I wouldn't. It's just nicer with the yeast. The yeast gives it a nicer flavor too. So again, this recipe's all over the internet. You guys know me. I'll get it to you. We've got some turmeric in here, obviously, which gives it the color. There's, geez, I don't even remember what else is in it. There's a little cumin in here. A little pepper and salt. White pepper. Anyway, that's kind of it. Oh man, Rebecca, that was worse than mine. Definitely worse than mine. Okay, anyway, so you punch this down. This needs to rise for like maybe an hour or two. At least an hour anyway. We're gonna roll it out slow because I've got my chana cooking down kind of aggressively here, but we're gonna speed reduce this to like a stewy consistency. Rebecca, yes, it is made with yeast. You could make it with baking powder if you were in a big hurry and you wanted a faster rise, but honestly, I just wouldn't. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna roll this guy out. And these roll out, you know, really kind of the same as the tortillas do that we did earlier. So just take I guess about the size of a walnut. Is that a walnut? That looks like a walnut, right? And we just give it a little roll. Probably don't even have to flour the counter. If your dough sticks, a little oil in your hands is probably better. I don't want to really add flour to this because I don't want the flour, I don't have to cook it off in the oil. But I will if I have to. But yeah. I gotta say, I am getting better at making these round. When I first started rolling out like tortillas and bear and stuff like that, I had a hell of a time keeping things round. So what we're going to do, I'm going to roll out a couple of these and I'll show you how to cook them because I don't need to make a ton of these tonight. These almost cook up like a pita. You'll see when we go in, they puff up. They puff up like a pita. And again, just like a walnut size. That's the other thing about making doubles is you can't buy these. You can't buy these little breads. Well, I mean, I've never seen them for sale. You gotta make it yourself, which kind of makes it fun, right? Guarantee if you serve these to somebody, they won't be getting them anywhere else. I will say these are easier to roll out than tortillas. Okay, now I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear the chana behind me going too hard. Hang on. Any questions so far, other than everything that's come up so far? I'm probably just gonna, well, I'm gonna roll out some of these anyway because chana's not ready yet. By the way, if you don't have one of these guys, like I got this in a, I think I got this like in an Asian grocery store, and I'm pretty sure it's for rolling out like wontons or something. But it is just a dynamite little thing for tortillas and this kind of thing. It is just fantastic. I love it. Also, I should just, this guy's gonna dry out on me. Just tuck him up. So, to serve these, there are a couple of traditional condiments which are pretty much impossible to find here. There's a mango pickle, and the name escapes me. But you could substitute an East Indian, yes, East Indian pickle, not a mango chutney, but if you just went to the Indian section of your grocery store and got a mango pickle, that would give you the same effect. And then the other is just it's just hot sauce, and you can use whatever your favorite hot sauce is. I'm going to use the stuff from the stream the other night. This is the chili darbal hot sauce that we made up for something else, but I'm going to use that as a hot sauce tonight. And I think I'm gonna roll out 2 more. Let's roll out 2 more, and then I'll put this away for now. So just seeing me get like 2 balls worth here. And of course, I'm gonna wrap this up, and it'll keep in the fridge overnight. And you can roll out fresh ones tomorrow. I may actually. What am I gonna do with that? Frustrating. I think what I'm going to do for this in the meantime, guys, is just cover it with a wet cloth. If I'm feeling up to it, I will roll that out after stream and fry the rest of them up. I gotta say, I've been very, extremely lucky that I haven't got COVID yet. Hopefully never. Because if the boosters are any indication of how the actual disease is going to hit me, I really don't want it. Just a little bigger. And these roll out, by the way. I'm using exactly, on a much smaller scale, I'm using exactly the same technique for rolling these out. See, Bob? Robin, that sounds right, because it is a sour tart sauce, so you are probably correct. I had it, it was on the tip of my tongue, and Penny loved it. She's the person I used to make this for. But I honestly can't remember what it's called. Anyway, she had a place she could get it. I mean, of course, probably long gone, 20 years ago. But she had a place she could get it, and I have no idea. But it's not strictly, obviously it's not necessary. It's a fantastic thing to make and eat without it. And you could also, like, make your own condiments, you know? Okay. I kind of feel like these are ready for the oil. And so these just need, like, chow. That sounds about right. These need about 30 seconds aside. And I just kind of, like, wing it. So what we're going to do is these are going to go into the... that deep fryer is really hot. And then we're just going to set them on some paper towel here. So let's get the first one in. I did this so you guys can see, like, they puff up almost like pita. Somebody's going to count to 30, right? They also just develop like a wonderful color. Oh, this guy's ready already. Okay, so my oil is probably hotter. You want to do this around 350. Well, I don't know if you guys can see this guy puffing up. It looks amazing. You want to do this around 350. The Grandpappy goes up to about 375, and you can't control the temperature in it. So my oil is probably going to be a little bit hotter than what you would do. But this looks just about perfect, so... Yeah, that's great. I'll show you guys. I don't know if you can see like how puffed up it is, but that's exactly what you want. That is an absolutely perfect barra. I'm very happy with that because it's been a long time since I did this. So we're just going to keep going with that. Oops. Try not to splash yourself with the 380-degree oil. In all seriousness about oil, guys, one of the reasons I love this Grandpappy is it's so contained and doesn't splatter. If you don't have this, you'll have to do it in like a deep cast iron pan in like a cup of oil. So be very careful. In an open pan, it's way more intimidating. Yep. So as I said, my oil's hotter. So these are probably only like 20 seconds aside. But it looks exactly like I remember it. There's quite a few places you can get these in Scarborough, little restaurants and stuff. There's one place we used to go to, really, really good. It's all coming back. It's funny. Food, I know it probably does it for you guys too. I think it does it for everybody, but food just brings back incredible memories, the smells of food and whatnot. Just, yeah, this guy's perfect too. All right, really happy to get 2 of these guys right off the bat. Ooh, of course, it's hot. Any questions on how to fry up barra? I think I'd be smarter about that. This is going to be our plate for tonight. Oh, I do need that actually. So the other thing I want to do, which we're going to do at the very end, is throw a little fresh chopped parsley into the chana, brighten it up. And for those of you who tuned in late, obviously, well, not obviously, this dish is vegan, actually. So it is it's a great thing to serve. If you have people over and you don't know what anybody can eat, you can pretty much safely serve this to anybody. Another good one. These are probably going to have to cool a little bit before I assemble my sandwich. Sticking. The trick when you're laying something into oil, by the way, is always like lay it in away from you. So if it does splatter, it splatters away from you. Little tip trick. I don't know what you would call it. We're just waiting on that guy. I think I'm going to fry them all up. I'm going to fry them all. We got room here to do them all. Just show you guys real quick while we're waiting for that. The chana has thickened up almost exactly where I want it. I want a little bit thicker than this, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Flip this guy over. There we go. Oh, this guy got huge. Like, you're ready? 2 more, guys. 2 more. And obviously these are really quick to make. So I get a little bit of jalapeno right in it. That one's got a spicy bit. It's picked up a bit of habanero from the counter. Okay, I mean, I feel like this is pretty straightforward. Are there any questions about how this whole thing went together? I am gonna season the. So, I want to do the taste test with you guys fresh. So I've salted the. You always want to season to taste. I happen to know how much salt needs to go in that. And we can adjust it as we go, but I don't want to taste it until we're like ready to like do the, not the unveiling, but whatever you want to call it. The taste test or whatever. But normally you would obviously salt a little bit, taste it as you go. Really maxed out my counter space tonight. And as if it wasn't hot enough in my kitchen. It's 32 degrees in here. You got the deep fryer going full tilt as well. Yep, this guy's ready too. 1 more. And then we feast. Well, I feast and you guys watch. It's a little bit of both, Rebecca. I'll show you when we put it together, but it's flexible. Like it's hard to describe, but it's not crunchy. But it does have like a crust, if that makes sense. It is chewy. Yes, you'll see. Whoa. Look at this. I don't know if you guys, yeah, you see how big this guy blew up. Big old ball. I don't even know if I can flip that over. I kind of want that guy to deflate a bit. Okay. I know these are actually really satisfying to make. This guy actually needs a little bit, because this guy puffed up so much that he needs a little extra cooking. He's not sitting in the oil. Give him another second or two. The oil can go off though. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see like how puffy and round this guy is, but it will settle down. They're starting to deflate even now. Okay, let me just get this out of the way. And then we can start assembling. Now the one thing I said I did want to do, let's real quick, let's chop up some parsley for the... I don't think that's a yeast thing, Rebecca. I think that's just the way they cook. But I'm not sure. Maybe? Anyway, parsley to taste. This is kind of my taste. This is about this much. I like parsley. I don't want an overwhelming parsley flavor. This is just to kind of brighten it up a bit. And let's get this into the pot. Stir that at the end. That. I'll bring this back so you guys can see what it looks like. And this is actually, you know, I think that it's probably been about 20 minutes actually. So there you go. That's pretty much the consistency we want. you don't want it too runny because this is like kind of like a sandwich. Now these are greasy and messy and wonderful to eat. This is not an invite the queen over dish. Having said that, you don't want it so runny that it just goes everywhere. So I hope you guys can see the color of that. I'm very happy with the color of this. Let's put one together. I don't remember which end is the hot end. But I feel like I'll take these. Yeah. I think this might have been the hot end. Yeah, I know. I'm going to try not to. But we'll see what happens. And let's just get a little bit out here. So I'm going to try the first one, no hot sauce. Now I always overfill these. You don't need a lot of filling, and I always put in a lot anyway, and it makes it a big mess. That's just me. Kind of like. Oh yeah. Okay, hang on. Let me get a towel ready to catch this mess. Okay, everybody can see that's what a finished doubles look like. Let's go back to like, I'm not going to call this the burn cam. Let's just call it the Rob eating cam, and see how good it is. It's really hot. It's really hot. Mmm. Ooh, hot. Rebecca, there's two ways to do it. You can, so your guys are right. You can just fold them up like a little taco. I've seen them both ways. The restaurant that I used to go to get these made them this way, but you can do either. We'll do a fold up one in a sec. Fold up. Sorry, fold up is probably less messy. So in terms of spice or kick, right, and these are so wonderful to eat anyway, like you can just snack on these. In terms of heat, the habanero, let me show you guys the dish again. In terms of heat, the habanero has given this a good kick, but it is not crazy spicy. So I'm gonna have one more bite of this one. The bear is exactly the way I want it. It's a little crispy. It's a little chewy. Just really, really fun to eat. But let's do a folded one with hot sauce. I actually have two kinds of hot sauce. So this is a Trinidadian habanero sauce, which I've had for a little while. So let's try that out. Maybe just like a dollop because I have a feeling it's really spicy. But since that's our theme, Trinidad tonight. So what do you guys think? Like that much to fold it over? Does that look like a reasonable amount of filling? You don't overdo it. I always do this. I think that's about right. Let's just try like a little bit. This is actually kind of a terrifying color for a hot sauce. Because it's this dark brown gray thing. It's kind of scaring me a little bit. Okay. Went everywhere. Okay. Oh. Damn. Wow. So that's very spicy. But It really, it is. It's still really good. And in fact, the interesting thing about that, what we just did, is it really complements the flavor of the dish. It's not, it's, okay, so it's very, very spicy, but you can still taste everything else. It almost like brings everything else out in the chana and gives it like an extra punch. Yeah. This is three extra hot sauce. This is just a pure habanero hot sauce. Very, very good. I'm gonna try one more bite of this, then I'll go back to the other one and see how that is. Mmm. So good. Okay. Whew. So I have my other homemade hot sauce here. I'm gonna give myself a break. Do I deliver? I don't deliver. I mean, Rebecca, I'm happy to make this for you next time I'm over. And I can even save some. Whew. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from the doubles and field any questions. Although I kind of feel like we covered everything. This is exactly what I remember. Guys, I haven't made these in... And I forget whose idea this was. Somebody suggested it last week. And I can't remember if they suggested doubles specifically or just West Indian food. But thank you for that, whoever it was. I forgot how good these were. I'm really, really happy with the way this turned out. I would normally take it easier on the habanero sauce. I'm going to be paying for that later probably. But I really feel like the one habanero in the chili, the one habanero chili in the chana did not make it too spicy at all. So there you go. I'm going to bite this guy. And actually, having had the folded over version, it's a lot easier to eat. Now my nose is running because of the heat. Okay, guys. I have covered everything I wanted to do tonight. And I highly urge you to try this out. This is not hard to put together. And literally, like, there's a little bit of a technique. And I like to do technique, don't get me wrong. There's a little bit of a technique to the bara. But you can look that up. It's not hard to make. It's just put it in the stand, make sure to leave it for 2 hours, and you roll it out, and that's it. And it's very satisfying to see them puff up. So very happy with the way this turned out. I'm going to sign off in just a sec, but I'll hang around for about 30 seconds, and maybe have another bite if anybody has one or two final questions. Robin, this is very easy to make. And especially the chana is literally just sauteing your aromatics and piling everything else in. Like, I would say that the only little bit of technique for preparing the chana is to sort of borrow that tarka technique from East Indian cooking, where the spices get cooked up in a little bit of oil for 3 or 4 minutes before you put everything in. Other than that, it's pretty great. So, well, it's not that bad in the deep fryer. Okay, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. Thanks for coming out and watching this. Next week is definitely Cochinha, and I'm glad Gubby wasn't here tonight because they've been dying for me to do it, and I couldn't pull it off today because I was in the office, which kind of sucked, but whatever. They gotta flex every month. They gotta pull me in for a day and flex and waste my time. And they did it today, so I couldn't do Cochinha, but it worked out because Gubby's not even here. So next week will be Cochinha. I am looking forward to doing that. It's got a cute story. It looks really fun to make, and we'll get to do it together. So that's all I got. Everybody have an amazing evening, and I'll see you next week.